All right, so this is going to be a real quick video. I'm just going to show how to drain the fuel water separator. Um, this is the primary filter for a diesel application on, this is a 2016 Ford Powerstroke. And so on the diesels, they have fuel water separator because the injectors and the engine components can be damaged by water. So this pulls water out of the fuel and it collects in this bowl. There is a sensor here so that if enough water accumulates in this bowl, it's going to give you a message on the cluster telling you that there's too much water or whatever. Anyway, so right now I'm just going to drain it into a bottle just to see what it looks like. This filter was replaced, let's say like 6 months ago, something like that. And I've driven about, I think, 10,000 miles since then. So yeah, it'll be interesting to see what we collect in here. Some people have indicated this should be drained on a monthly basis. And I'm not anyone speaking from authority with regard to Powerstrokes, but that is not something that I've ever done in the bus industry as far as recommending that. So I don't know. We'll see what comes out of here and see if maybe this needs to be a more regular part of maintenance. So I'm going to take maybe 3/4 of this jar, fill 3/4 of the jar. Should be good. All right, so I think that's closed all the way. It's not leaking. So diesel fuel is oil-based, so it'll separate. Like when you're cooking with oil on the stove, if you add any water, the water will separate from the oil, right? So it's the same concept here. So any water, if there was water in this bowl, any water would drain out first out of this drain, and it would sit on the bottom in a jar. So if you've been driving a lot, this will be warm, and so it has a tendency to then maybe absorb some of that moisture into the diesel. But letting it sit before draining it will let it separate. And so we can see here, like this, I haven't driven, like I pulled it in the garage, and that's all it's done in the last like 2 days, 3 days. It hasn't gone anywhere, I haven't driven it anywhere, and there is no water in the fuel. Depending on where you fuel up is really going to be the deciding factor on the quality of your fuel. Some of the lower end fueling stations or fueling sites, they may have more water in their fuel. And so if you fuel more often at those types of locations, it can be more problematic. Sticking with the higher quality fueling locations will tend to keep you more on the safe side as far as getting water in your fuel. It is something to note, if you fuel up and then within the next drive, like next 30 minutes or so after fueling up, if your water and fuel light comes on, I would really look back and think about where you fueled up and really look to see if maybe there's an issue with that fueling site. If it's a place where you fueled up regularly and never had an issue, then it could just be a one-off. But if it's someplace new or different that you're trying out or that you just happen to fuel up at, you may want to stay away from a location like that, or at least to be more cautious when you do get fuel there. So that's it. As you can see, there's really no concern here as far as water in here. It all looks like diesel fuel. It would show as like water bubbles sitting on the bottom. It'd be very distinct that it had water in it. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed it. Please share, like, and subscribe. I'm putting out more content about my service truck and more bus repairs as I'm doing those. So if you want to get those notifications, hit the bell. And you guys have a good one. Take care.